Chapter 8. English class passed without incident. Miss Plimsoll distributed a word list for her pupils to take home. The more words you know, she explained, as always, the more exactly you can think. There were some difficult words, John noticed. Avarice, indigestion, acidity, unhealthiness, moderation, digestibility. As Miss Plimsoll explained the meaning of each one, it seemed to John that they all had a special bearing on his present uncomfortable condition. At last the bell rang. "Very well, class," Miss Plimsoll said. "Time for our outside activities." "Good afternoon." "Good afternoon, Miss Plimsoll." Miss Plimsoll gave the signal for dismissal, and the pupils in the front row filed out, followed by those in the second row, including John and Sue. Susan played the violin for the school orchestra, and usually she and John went to the rehearsals in the auditorium together. This time Susan hurried on ahead of him. John followed, very slowly. The members of the orchestra were sitting on the music stands of the auditorium stage when John, carrying his dark blue trumpet case, got to his chair in the brass section. Miss Quaver had already begun to explain a difficult passage to the girl who played the flute. Just after the jay sings, nestlings chirp and flee, she was saying, you come in with your trill. Doodle, oodle, 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 oo. Do you see the place on your score? Good. Aw, John, Mrs. Quaver exclaimed, seeing him in his place. I'm glad you're not absent. As I've just told the others, this afternoon we're having the first joint rehearsal of my arrangement of A Boy's Song by James Hogg. We've been all over the individual parts and all the sections, you will recall. Now it's time to fit the pieces together. John nervously opened his trumpet case and took a shining gold trumpet from its bed of scarlet velvet. The beautiful new instrument gave him confidence. He worked the valves nimbly with his fingers and looked up at Miss Quaver again. Now, John, she said, tell me when your little solo begins. Right after the second verse, John promptly replied. He had practiced his part every evening in the basement at home for the last 2 weeks. He knew every note perfectly. After the line, that's the way for Billy and me. Good, Miss Quaver said. And don't forget what I told you, John. This is a happy song. I want you to play ta-ta, 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 simply repeating the rhythm of the voice. And I want you to be light and lively. This is supposed to be a song of a boy who loves romping in the country. Ta-ta, ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta, John thought. That shouldn't be too difficult, even with the whole orchestra listening to him. He had played it over and over again at home. But he would have to try extra hard here. This was his first solo. Everyone else was depending on him to play it properly. Right, said Miss Quaver brightly. With a baton, she rapped it twice sharply on the musical stand before her. All the musicians brought their instruments into playing position. Susan posed her boy with the string of her violin. John held his trumpet close to his mouth and wiggled his fingers on his valves. Miss Quaver's baton moved from side to side, up and then down. Cymbals clashed and the drums thumped. The pianist brought his fingers down on the ivory keys of the piano. The violists and cellists made their weeing and whumping sounds. All were in perfect unison. The rehearsal had begun. After the introduction, one of the older boys began to sing. Where the pools are bright and deep, where the gray trout lies asleep, up on the river, over the lake, that's the way for Billy and me. The last line of the first verse, John's fellow trumpeter echoed the rhythm of the singer's voice. Ta-ta, ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta. Quaver smiled approvingly. In the successful performance, the baton gave the singer the signal to begin the second verse. Where the blackbirds sing the latest, oh, what pea, where the hawthorns bloom, the sweetest, where the nestling chirp and flee. The flute warbled according to plan. That's the way for Billy and me. John swallowed with an effort and put his mouthpiece of his trumpet to his lip for solo. The mouthpiece instantly changed to chocolate. Then, almost as fast, the chocolate spread along the instrument, changing all the flashing gold into dull brown. The first note came out true. Ta, but the chocolate trumpets cannot withstand much pressure. The hole in the mouthpiece softened and clogged up. The valve stuck as John desperately tried to finish the part. Miss Quaver's eyes almost popped out of her head when she listened to him play. Ta ta tu ta ta. Sounded as though John was trying to play a soap-filled bubble pipe. Terribly flustered, he put down his trumpet. Mrs. Quaver was speechless, the orchestra rocked by an uproarious laughter. The other trumpeter leaned over towards John's chair and picked up the trumpet. It's a chocolate trumpet, he said derisively. No wonder it sounded like that. John Midas was trying to play a chocolate. John didn't want to hear anymore. He fled from the stage out to the playground. Without stopping or looking around, he ran through the stone gateway and homeward.